1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Lay It on the Table, the Southern Board Game Podcast with the accent on Southern. And to no surprise to any of our longtime listeners, I am Joe Mahaffey, one of your hosts.
And I'm James Engelhardt, your other host, jumping in on Joe Mahaffey's line. Sorry about that, man.
No, it's quite all right. I changed it up today because, I was feeling a little energized after a 20-mile bike ride this morning. So, just shaking off the rust, so to speak. So before we get too far into the conversation today, I just want to remind everybody that Mythicon is coming up. Not a sponsor, of course, but they're good friends of ours. Richard Fortuna, who, of course, has been a guest on this show, and his wife, Karen Montgomery, are the brains behind Mythicon in Charlotte, North Carolina, November 10th through the 12th. Links in the show notes below if you'd like to get tickets, which are on sale now. So before we get into our normal routine of shows, we actually have a guest today that we're going to talk to. And for those of you on video, you can see this person. And I want to take you back before we get into this conversation to our very first episode where James and I talked about our origin stories. And in my story, I talked about, discovering Carolina Tabletop Games in Pineville, not a sponsor, but they should be. And getting to know the staff there. And we've talked about various members of the staff, but there was one staff member at the time that actually took the time to teach my wife and I the game Wingspan. And it was like somebody handed us the keys to decode every single game we've ever played and loved ever since. And so Ian Garner, our guest today, is very much a part of Dale's and my origin story of rediscovering our love of games and making them so accessible. And so Ian and his wife recently went to GenCon, so we want to talk about that. So without further ado, Ian, welcome to Lay It on the Table.
Oh wow! Thank you. How do I live up to that intro?
Well, I wanted to make it impossible for you to pole vault over.
I think you accomplished that.
Yeah, man.
I definitely. I love teaching you and Dell games. I really do. And I'm glad that, we've been able to continue on a friendship through our love of board games.
Oh, 100%. In fact, I will tell you this, it's a gift that keeps on giving. About 2 weeks ago, I got a message from a friend of mine that I won't name because he didn't give me the permission to do so. But the message basically said, I'll just read it here. Just happened to see you're active while I'm online. You never know when you touch someone's life and the impact you have. You guys impacted us when you introduced us to Wingspan. We play a lot together with my parents, my kids. Our whole family has gotten into gaming, and it's a great time together. So thank you. And so if you think about it,
That's awesome.
That's a legacy that keeps on giving. You inspired Dale and myself, and we have taught other people, and it's just a gift that keeps on giving. So that was kind of fun to share.
Awesome. Yeah, you never quite know just the impact. For me, I was doing my job and trying to build the community.
Oh, so what you're saying is you got paid to be nice to me. Wow.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Okay, I like that. Okay. So Ian, why don't you talk to us a little bit about GenCon? I'd love for you to kind of tee it up with, I know you and your wife were there with some friends, and I know you're kind of there with a purpose in your life, and I'd love for you to just sort of unpack that for everybody, and then let's just kind of get conversationally into what that experience was like once you kind of tell that intro.
Yeah. So this year was our, I believe, 7th year going.
Nice.
So it's my wife, myself, and then our 2 best friends. We know that they're our best friends because we can survive the 9-hour car ride one way. And now that it's really getting back into full swing. I don't think I've seen official numbers yet, but this year people are saying anywhere from 80 to 90,000 people were there this year.
Yep.
But yeah, we like to go to kind of see what's new. Just seeing the buzz, and if possible, we'll talk to like some of the publishers because my wife and I are planning on opening up a store in Charlotte. So just, kind of seeing the new things, because when we're there, we're also consumers. We're not just, trying to open a store, but it's, we get to have that excitement that, that Christmas morning running downstairs and seeing what you get excitement.
Right.
And but yeah, no, it's every year surprises me in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
And,
I'd heard that it was kind of back from COVID and kind of back to pre-COVID levels, and it sounds like it was that level of excitement as well.
Yeah. So in 19, the official number was around 70,000.
Right.
And then 2020, it was all online.
Yeah.
Sure.
That was the year we were going
21
to try to go, actually.
Yeah. 21, there was I think they limited it to about 25,000.
Okay.
And then 22, probably around like 40 to 50.
Okay.
So now we're back at, pre-COVID numbers.
Nice. And were you going during those years, or have you has it been 7 years in a row, or this is like here and there whenever you can, or?
So we have gone every year from 2015, with the exception of 17, because that's the year we got married.
Ah,
Wait, you couldn't get her to honeymoon? Never mind.
Trust me, I tried. I tried. I was like, hey, babe, let's just get married at Gen Con.
it's happened before.
I can see Tom.
I know.
I can see Tom Vassell now.
But yeah, no, but we just, I was just like, hey, let's do Gen Con, because I didn't want to mess up. And plus, that one was the 50th.
Oh, right.
So I was just like, babe, it's the 50th. Let's just get married there. But
see, and it would be a good precursor. We would stay married for 50 years if we did it there. It's good. It's good mojo there. Yeah.
But no, it's just some of the guests aren't real big board gamers, so it was just like, I mean, I know I got to vet my circle of friends a little better, but
so if you look at Gen Con from that perspective, because obviously you've been there pre-COVID, post-COVID, what's a day in the life of at Gen Con like? How does it start in the morning? What do you expect? Are there lines? Is it a challenge? So
is there a morning, or is it just 3 continuous days?
So it's actually 4 days.
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I guess technically the con officially ends at like 4 on Sunday.
Typical.
Yeah. For us, we drive up that Wednesday.
Okay.
Because I don't want to drive 9 hours and then go
right.
to a convention, and then we'll leave the following Monday.
Good call.
Let's see. Now that we've kind of gone through a few, our routine has changed a bit compared to like the first couple years. The first couple of years, you're so excited. You're just like, oh, I got to go and get the new hotness. Right. So, we tried really hard to go and get the new hotness. I think at the first one, it was New York 1905. And I want to say Champions of Midgard.
Okay.
I want to say, I'm not sure. That was, 8 years ago.
Right.
But yeah, so we got into the massive crowd because the expo hall opens at 10.
Okay.
And pre-COVID, the convention hall the convention center never closed. So you would have people in the convention center all times of night.
Right.
Just like hanging out in the hallways, like camping out at like a Comic-Con, or like playing games, or doing
just
both?
Playing games and whatever. Just hanging out. And, and then they joined the line, the surge, or the swarm, as I like to call it, because everyone just stands around the doors waiting for 10 o'clock.
Right,
makes sense.
And the doors open, and it's just it's like Black Friday, but no one's getting trampled.
So you talked about the hotness in some of the previous years. What was the hotness this year that everybody was rushing towards?
Besides Lorcana.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it absolutely was Lorcana. I have a couple stories about that line.
Oh, good.
Really, it was a game by Darrington Press, Queen by Midnight.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Darrington Press, for the uninitiated, is the game production arm of Critical Role, and all of their content. So Darrington Press, based on a Campaign 1 character name.
And and they also did Last Gasp, if anyone gets a chance to play that. Joe, I'll have to bring it over sometime and we can play it. It's a 2-player, very thematic, very RP like.
Oh wow,
cool.
But so Queen by Midnight, that was, I mean, every day, like they didn't get their full shipment because shipping is shipping right now.
Yes, we all know
And-
that.
Yeah. So they, they put out a set number per day, and every day it sold out within the hour.
Wow.
Wow.
Thursday they sold out, and the woman actually told me this. They sold out in 49 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's everyone wanted it, and I played it yesterday, and it's an amazing game. It's a deck builder free for all.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Like
you
you're
showed
actually,
me
like-
you showed me the centerpiece that you put together.
Yeah.
When we were in the store yesterday, and there's a 360 nature of it, and everybody on this show knows we always put our games on a turntable because it just makes it easier to access. And I
Right.
like that
Yeah.
the designer actually put that mechanic into the game, which I thought was pretty cool.
And but yeah, it's a deck builder where your princesses fighting each other to become the queen.
Awesome.
Now, were there
Yeah.
personalities there from Critical Role in the booth, or was it just a bunch of people that they paid to be there?
So the one person that I saw there was a staff member of Darrington Press.
Okay, and that's fair.
I
That's
saw-
reasonable.
Yeah.
I know in the
saw
past they've
her-
done some live shows during Gen Con, but I guess
Yeah.
that didn't happen this go around.
Truthfully, when it comes to Gen Con, I try to limit my events.
Sure.
That's fair.
Well, they're
but-
an add-on, right? You pay extra for those, right?
Some of
I
them,
know for
like,
the
some of
critical.
them
I know
it-
for Critical Role live, you would pay extra for that.
Oh yeah.
but it just
That makes sense.
sometimes it's just just like it's a free event, like someone a new designer is like showing off their prototype.
Yeah. So towards that end, I mean, was there any kind of hotness around playtesting of things that might be to come, or was that part of the makeup?
I'm trying to think back. It was a whirlwind 4 days.
Right.
But of the things that are coming, it's already out, but it just hit. Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Mhm.
Crossroads.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a new one.
It's like basically you get a book that's literally the whole Last Airbender series,
Wow.
and like you have like little standees of like the gang, and you go through all the episodes.
So it's a storybook game.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. And then wow. Well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, we got it. It's nice. One thing is, currently, I mean, the designer wasn't there, but the people who are selling it were. Currently, there's work on adding more player characters,
Okay.
but
That
right
makes
now
sense.
it's the main four. Like Zuko does not join the gang in the base set.
Okay. So it's expandable. That's always good.
Yes, yeah. What other playtesting things? Oh, Nocturne by Flat Out Games.
Mm-hmm. I like their work.
Yeah. They're doing fit to print. It should be shipping soon-ish.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And then one that's about to hit Kickstarter, Nocturne.
Mm-hmm.
It is drafting in a way that I have never seen drafting,
Okay.
like tile drafting.
Right.
So like depending on the number of players, you'll make a 4x4, 5x5, however many grid of all the
Mhm.
cards. So whoever starts it, they can start with their bid token anywhere on the board. The next person has to put their a higher bid token on a card that is octagonally adjacent.
Okay.
So it's
All right.
spatial drafting.
Right.
So then, so you end up going through like just making a trail
Right.
through these cards, and whoever has the
Interesting.
highest bid takes the card that their token is on. Well, they lose that token. Like it flips over and becomes like just an empty space on the board. And then whoever won that, their first bid has to be octagonally adjacent to the last card won.
Oh. Oh, interesting. So yeah, it does sound like you're kind of Swiss cheesing your way through the tableau.
Yeah. And it's drafting with engine build and set collecting, not so much engine building.
Okay.
Like kind of like like there's the one it's just like if you have one of this, it's this many. If you have two, it's actually 0, but you want 3, and that's where you get the most points. And it's like, if you have the most of this, you get some.
Yeah. And if you have second, you get nothing. That kind of
right. Yeah, and so that was really cool to sit down and demo that. The art for it was great. If you like, mythical fox wolf like mage type characters.
Oh yeah.
Then, yeah. So yeah, no, the art, I'm glad to see that a lot of like designers and publishers are actually like getting into like getting good art into their games now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I mean, box art can sell you a game just by being pretty.
Oh yeah.
And I've fallen victim to that many times and not been disappointed. We've talked a lot about the art on this program. In fact, we even had an artist on once just to go down that path. So we have had an opportunity to talk to a lot of different folks on this program. We talked to Professor Dungeon Master back when the OGL kerfuffle was going on with Hasbro.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to Linda Codega from Gizmodo back when Wizards of the Coast was allegedly sending people thugs to the house, Pinkerton thugs, to talk about cards. And so this has been a year where there have been a lot of entries into the marketplace to compete with the 5e and the Hasbro kind of product line. And of course, you alluded to it a little bit a minute ago with Disney's Lorcana. Let's talk about that from a hotness perspective, because I'm looking at BGG. It's number 3 on the hotness there right now.
Oh, Lord, yes.
Which I thought it might have been higher given all the hype I was hearing here recently. But I'm just kind of curious, what was that like? I mean, were they making a big marketing splash there? Was it all over the place? Was there a verbal buzz? Was Wizards trying to dampen it in any way? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, people getting trampled.
Yeah. Not happy that kind of experience is tied to all of us that went to Gen Con. So basically Thursday, Ravensburger didn't have a plan for a line.
That tracks.
Yeah.
They're really, I mean, they're a good publisher, but they're not. Yeah. Okay.
This is their first TCG.
Yeah.
So you get the mass of people standing by that door. And since there's no official line, you just get people clumped up, ready to go. Was
it like that scene in the Guild where, Will Wheaton and his thugs come and just go to the front of the line?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it was utter chaos that first day. I heard I was nowhere near it because I'm like, if I get it, cool. If not, my game store is getting it in 2 weeks, and if I can't get it from them, it's hitting big box stores on the 1st. Right. So I wasn't like, I'm not going to be a part of that. But that's just
fair.
I've done it. I've been a part of the Swarm or the Surge twice, and it's one of those. If you've never been to Gen Con, you have to do it at least once just to say you did. But so I heard that they actually rushed the door at around 9. So, I mean, the hall doesn't even open till 10. So what are y'all trying to do? But then after that, cluster, Gen Con actually stepped in, and me personally, I appreciate what they did, but I think that they were encouraging some bad habits.
Okay.
So when Gen Con came in to take over like the whole line situation, they said that the line for tomorrow's Expo Hall at 10 a.m. would be opening at 6 p.m. the previous evening.
Oh, my Lord.
So it's encouraging camping. It's encouraging people sleeping on the floor. It's...
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I had my Disney Genie pass on, would that give me... Never mind, keep going.
But, and the thing is, it's like, I will admit, Gen Con, compared to other conventions I've been to, the con funk ain't bad. But it's still just like you've got people, who are, sleeping in the convention center.
It can't go well.
Yeah. And clearly they're not going to, and they said, like, you cannot save spots for people.
Oof.
So hopefully you have a friend who will bring you food.
And an empty bottle.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we definitely.
It's Indiana. There's a camping shop somewhere. Trust me. That's available.
Oh,
it's fine.
no, actually, so there were a lot of people when we walked in on Friday and Saturday that had camping chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're just making sure it's like, man, whoever sells those, they're probably just like, I don't know what's going to happen in town, but we just sold all of our camping chairs.
Wow.
Everybody had a weird 20-sided die T-shirt. I don't know what that was about. Yeah.
So they were the palest campers we've ever seen walk in our store. Guilty as charged. So just to be clear, you did not pick up Lorcana while you were there.
Oh, I did.
Okay, I wasn't the way you kind of backed into that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So basically, they were selling booster boxes, starter decks, the sleeves, the deck box, and then like a portfolio.
Okay.
For to hold your cards. Basically, once everything but the booster boxes were gone, that line just pretty much disappeared.
The locusts have moved on.
Yeah. my wife and I, we were like, oh, it's pretty short. Like we were split at the time. And so she texts me like, hey, I'm getting into the Lorcana line. I'm like, what? Why? And, so I go find her and I'm just like, wow, wait, really? We waited less than 20 minutes to get our booster.
But you got like a base starter kit. You didn't have any of the
no starters. No starters, just the booster box.
I see. Okay.
But that's what I wanted. Like I have plenty of sleeves, I have plenty of deck boxes, I have plenty of play mats.
Sure.
Right.
Give me the cards.
Right.
Actually we lucked out that I actually pulled one of the announced 6th rarity that they announced there at Gen Con. The enchanted rarity. Mechanically, It's the exact same as the card, but it's alternate art full foil.
Because it's never too late to start an aftermarket for your product.
Right. But yeah, so we enjoyed it, and then we on Thursday we ended up getting into the first. We did get a starter, but we got into the Learn to Play event. At 9 on Thursday, and with that they said, after you come in, learn, they give you a starter.
Oh. Very cool.
And, compared to other, TCGs, I do like that they include a booster pack with your starter.
That is cool.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because I know that I think when you and I first met, I think Keyforge was the rage. And I know Magic has never really died. And there's still Pokemon out there. So everyone on this podcast knows that I'm not a TCG guy.
Right.
It's not my game at all. That's of all the parts of this expensive hobby, I have found other channels to walk down. But I'm curious, as somebody that I know does play the TCGs, do you think this is going to have any kind of staying power with the Disney brand and Ravensburger, or do you think this is going to be the way of Keyforge 1.0?
So I think, it's not a Magic killer.
No.
So anyone who says that is just lying.
Hasn't been paying attention for the last 30 years.
Right. Really, the only way that Magic is dying is if Wizards kills it themselves.
Right.
Yep.
Which they're not unable to do. Oh, sorry. Keep going. I'm gonna get in trouble for that somewhere.
But it's the thing is, it's right now a lot of people are still hesitant because it's the first wave. So of course, it's very boiled down, very simple. But that's also part of the design.
Right.
Is they want it to be simple and accessible.
You would think if it's a Disney property, they're we have a huge audience of people. Yeah. Probably most of them did not grow up playing Magic. So let's make it pretty basic.
Right. And then, as the waves continue, they'll be adding more complexity.
Sure.
But as it stands right now, it's a fine game. I enjoy it.
Well, and Ravensburger has always been a very good steward of the Disney property.
Absolutely.
Not just the Villainous series, but the Jungle Cruise, anything that Ravensburger has put out. We actually have a few of their puzzles too. They're an established designer. Oh, yeah. They know what they're doing. And I think it was smart for Disney to say, let's go find, this boutique-y niche but consumer-oriented group, and let's work together.
Yeah.
And I think that the Villainous series was probably the precursor to this concept being considered and greenlit.
And I know that Villainous really got Ravensburger on people's map.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but they've said it's just like, because in Magic you have like these alternate art like promos that you can only get at certain events.
Right.
Yeah.
They've said that they're not doing things like that. Now there will be event promos, but the only thing that changes is the logo. Like where the rarity symbol would be, it's like the event.
Oh, well, that'll be fun.
But it's still mechanically it's the exact same card, exact same art.
Have they promised not to do any joint advertising with Hot Pocket?
I mean, I'm not in the war room, so I can't say for certain. But
No. Well, cool. All right, so Lorcana was a big thing, and it's coming to a game store near you. So, were there any other things that maybe surprised you that you didn't expect to be enamored by? Because maybe it wasn't part of the hotness, but it just sort of caught your attention.
Earth.
Oh yeah,
the game Earth.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lovely game. We love it. Yeah.
Yeah. When the guy kind of told me about it, I was just like, yes, please. Wingspan, but crunchier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because a few weeks back we had Jamie Stegmeyer on this podcast, and I had the game because I'd gotten it for Dale's birthday, but it was one on our shrink wrap of shame, and Jamie started talking to us about Earth and how it was exactly what you just said. And we pulled it out and just chomped through it. It's a great game.
Yeah. Let's see. What were some others that really, had I thought about it more, I would have gone through all the games that we bought when we were there. We came back with like 4 big of the board game table bags.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Did you come home with a trunk full of good stuff, and like what were the ones that you were super excited about? Sort of piggybacking off of Joe's.
So we got. We brought home 4 of those big board game table bags full of games.
Awesome.
But obviously Queen by Midnight.
Which looks beautiful. I found and the 3D clock is pretty amazing. Dice tower
that was
timer.
Great. That was such a fun build that I did yesterday.
I've been every all the things you've been talking about. I've been tracking onto BGG, and I'll put them in the show notes so people can see the artwork.
It's this one game's been out for a bit, but we wanted to get it called Behexed.
Yeah, how was that?
From Smirkin Dagger. It's great. It's another deck builder, but it's deck builder hot potato.
Nice.
Because there's a curse that's being bounced between you and all the other players, so your cards will actually like it'll say a direction like on the bottom of the card. And it was like, you got to pass it that way. But if you can't get rid of it, it explodes, you take damage.
Nice.
So no, that was just a lot of fun. And also technically it was Smirk and Laughter.
Okay. Yeah. They're the lighter side of things. Yeah.
Yeah. They had, it's actually called Boop, but they were calling it Spooky Boop.
I had seen some little chatter about that.
Yeah.
Is it, it's still functionally Boop, right?
Yeah, it is Boop, but they just add more layers to it. So that was fun. Surprisingly, one of the games that I am looking forward to, I didn't actually buy from the publisher.
Okay.
So Tabletop Tycoon, they do Everdale and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They always have a charity thing with Toys for Tots.
Okay.
In the past, it was just buy a blind board game booster box.
Okay.
And then this time it was a little different. Like they had basically light, medium, and heavy games, 2 games in each category. And if you got the base without a bag, but you're going to want a bag, it was $60. So you got to pick 1 from each category, and then there was a mystery game. Well, my wife and I, we got the one with the big bag, and then we were like, let's just get all of it. Like you get all 6 games and then 2 mystery games.
That's cool. Yeah.
One of the games was I'm gonna have to go and Google this real quick. A Few and the Cursed.
Okay.
It's based on a graphic novel.
All right.
And it's post-apocalyptic Western.
Oh, okay. The Few and got it. Oh, that makes sense. The Few and the Cursed. Yeah. All right.
And so it's it's been out for a bit, but I'm excited to play it. Let's see what else. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, like I said, I really should have opened up those bags before. Like they're still in the bags. Like we don't have the room right now in our house to put them on any shelves.
No judgment, because we talk about the wall of shame here all the time.
I understand that feeling. So when you were there, did you stay at the convention center? Do you like have an Airbnb nearby? Do you have friends you stay with? How does that work?
So because I hurt my back in 2010.
Okay.
I can't do a whole lot of walking without it flaring up.
Okay.
So I always try, my wife and I, we always try to get a downtown hotel.
Okay.
We stay at a hotel that's 2 blocks away.
Nice.
And it's a Hampton, so it's nice, free breakfast.
Yeah.
And then there's people who, will stay in like connected via Skywalk, hotels. It's never really rained on us every time we've gone. So we're like, whatever, we'll walk 2 blocks outside.
Sure.
And even then it's like we have like they're the games bag, but they're basically like the reusable grocery bags, that type of material. So it's like, I mean, we can figure out a way to protect the games if need be.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh goodness. One of the games, and it's like this one company, Lookout Games. Forest Shuffle.
Yes, that is very much on my keen to hear more about that.
So we played it and we got it there.
That sounds like,
because they had a lot of they had a few of that, and then Spellbook.
Oh yeah.
So they had a few of those, and I played Forest Shuffle. I had to go run somewhere, so my wife played Spellbook.
Got it.
But Forest Shuffle was great.
It seems really promising. The multi-use cards, a tableau kind of, yeah.
Right. So, we played it. It's a standard, marketplace type, well, not marketplace, but engine builder. You place down a tree, you can put animals around them, but some of them do better with other trees and stuff.
Kind of looks like Fox in the Forest on the cover.
A little bit, and on the cover, but it's not.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Like
it's just, yeah.
But no, that's one that we're really excited, because it's something that you can just play.
Sure.
And it looks like it's a pretty small box, was my impression of it.
Yes, it is. It's
is like canopy sized or smaller?
Oh goodness.
More like Fox in the Forest, or
yes,
those trick playing games. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was portable. It was something easy. We did try to get into the Lorcana line on Sunday to try to get the accessories. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we got in line at 8.
Wow.
But we were able to get some of them, but it was just one of those, it's Sunday. There's less people. Maybe we can get some, if not, whatever. But we had that, and then we had another game by a new and promising designer at Low Tech Games.
Okay.
And it's called Expedition.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the Expeditions.
Yes. Right. And so Low Tech Game, it's self-published, self-distributed.
Okay.
And but basically, it's a micro game.
Ooh, nice.
And it's just about there's these planets in a 3x3 grid, and then they're all uncharted. So you're trying to go and move and plant your flag in them, right?
Right.
So whenever you come off of a planet, you leave one of your colored cubes.
Okay.
But if someone goes onto your planet and then they leave, your cube is gone, and they get to put their flag there.
Okay.
So it's again, it's a micro game, so it's just really nice. Like the box is like this big.
Yeah.
And who's the publisher? Who's the publisher?
Low Tech Games, TEK.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
It's what we used to call a single game company. Yes. Or do they have other stuff?
So they have another game called Name That Thing,
Okay.
which is more akin to like your apples to apples, or if you played it Snake Oil.
Yeah.
So if it's more akin to that, more of a party game, and this is their first jump into like a more complex game.
Gotcha.
But no, it's a lot of fun, and we had that in our bag too, just as because we were waiting, and it was just like, I mean, we're here at a game convention. Let's bring games.
So did you end up like doing the sort of legendary stay up till 2 a.m. playing, or you well past that thing as a
I'm pushing 40. I can't do that anymore. But it's but even then, even when I was younger, I followed the 3-2-1 rule.
And which is?
Oh, so for conventions, this is like the minimum daily. 3 hours of sleep, 2 meals, and a shower.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I always follow that. But
3 seems like very minimal, but okay.
Again, this is like the minimum that you should be doing. Like, and again, it was also like first time I heard it, I was like 20.
Yeah.
So, I could do
like
that.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 hours, hell yeah.
Yeah, but no, I know there are people that are like pretty much up almost all night playing games.
Yeah.
Because so events actually carry over into the connecting hotels as well as into Lucas Oil Stadium where the Colts play. And yeah, like there will be people in Lucas Oil gaming all night pretty much.
That's crazy.
So,
and I can't remember. Is that that's a dome stadium? Is it not?
It is. It is
That's
a
what
dome
I thought.
stadium.
Yeah. I've never
One
been
would
there.
hope. Yeah.
I would hope, but Green
but
Bay.
yeah, so it's just like you can go to any, and there will be just people like even just walking around through like the convention hall or like the connected hotels. You'll just see people at like any of the tables that they that are there just playing games.
Yeah.
At our hotel, the breakfast area was where a lot of people congregated at night to play the games they got that day.
Yep, that makes sense.
That makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and people for the most part are like if you see them wanting to if you see them getting started, you can ask what they're playing, and usually they'll be like hey, can I jump in? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yep, it plays 4, we've got 3, sure. Yeah.
And
so are there
go ahead.
Oh, so I was going to say, so it sounds very friendly in that kind of way. Are there people that you look forward to seeing every year at the con, or
so I've become very good friends with a few publishers. So I love seeing them. Like I've become real good friends. Like one of them just like, I mean, one of the companies my wife and I helped tear down their booth at one of the conventions we were at because they were down a couple staff members. Like they had to leave early. So we were just like, hey, we'll help you tear down your booth. No problem.
No, that's cool.
But it's, well, truthfully, it's, you see people, you see similar people every year, but it's one of those, like, if you're in the expo hall, you're not really paying attention to people.
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, it's definitely a traffic nightmare.
Interesting.
Well,
just like, so you got to think about it. Granted, not all 90,000 people were in the hall at the same time.
Right.
But you still got to think there's at least 20 to 30, if not more, in the hall at any given time. So, you can only put so many people into a space.
Right.
And, to have aisleways in between all the booths and stuff, but, they still have 4-way intersections in theirs, and people can't figure that out sometimes.
Fair.
But yeah, and it's just like, and plus I'm with my wife. Like if I were going single, I probably would have made more friends throughout my times going. But it's like my wife is there and we go with our 2 best friends.
So y'all become a sort of little group that's kind of atomic and it's
No, actually no. Me and my wife, we have our way of tackling the expo hall and they have their way of tackling the expo hall. So basically at 10 o'clock, the 2 couples will literally just split and be like, cool, if we see you at lunch, we'll see you at lunch. If not, we'll see you at dinner.
That works.
yeah, so and it works for us. But I definitely got to touch on like the meals.
Oh yes, please.
So like obviously they have the convention food, which is convention food,
Right.
But so this year they actually had the move where what they call the block party.
Okay.
Because they broke ground on a new hotel that's going to be going in over there. So they moved it to basically right in front of the football stadium. Like it was the street that ran parallel to like the yard lines.
Okay.
Like not the long way, but
right. Yeah. Gotcha.
And there at any given there was like 40 plus food trucks there every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that it's probably, I think about when, I'm in Charlotte, Ian's in Charlotte. It's a big NASCAR town. When they do the big race, they turn uptown Charlotte into like this food extravaganza. I would imagine this is something very similar in Indianapolis.
Yeah. We take over most of downtown.
Yeah.
And I've heard some restaurants will like change the offerings or the names of their food to be sort of geeky.
There'll be some restaurants like back in the first couple of years, there was a restaurant called Scotty's.
Yeah.
And they had a Gen Con menu, and it was stuff that was on the regular menu, but it was just had different names.
Right.
And if you ordered from that, you got a Scotty's D6.
That's awesome. That's good.
I mean, it's just one of those. It's like let's be honest, we're all goblins when it comes to the clicky math rocks.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and when you figure the convention's been around for over 50 years, it's not like they're not aware of the type of audience that they're getting.
Yeah, and then and every year Sun King, it's a beer brewery up in Indy. They will have a Gen Con exclusive beer.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah. And it's this year was a light honey lager.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you the past ones, but we like to collect the cans. We like the art because it changes every year too.
Right. Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. And but yeah, it's they have a tent set up in the block party, and you can just go and get some of their like evergreens, but then also the Gen Con beer.
Right.
Nice. Yeah. So we talked about the people that you see occasionally. I know that in the last 8 years since this has been going on, there have been a lot of influencers that have kind of become more prominent in the space. Did you have an encounter with like a Becca Scott or a Paula Deming or a Rodney Smith or anybody like that? Or were they there, or did you notice, or did you care? Which is all fine.
A little bit of like, I mean, I'm not there for the people.
I understand that.
Right.
Yeah. But just so I don't know for certain. I mean, I did see Tom Vassell.
Okay.
I did not see him, but my friend got a picture of the back of his head. To her, that's like a big thing. But I always butcher his last name, but Joe Manganiello.
Joe Manganiella. Joe Manganiella.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
he was there.
Yeah, okay. I think I saw that he was going to be there.
Carrying a little chihuahua.
Well, he's on the rebound since he and his wife broke up. So, and I'm sure he had a hard time, finding a date.
Right. But no, apparently, I didn't see him, but my friend did, and was just like, oh my God, I'm going to get a picture with him. And then.
Yeah. About that.
She got a picture of the back of his head. It's like, okay, yep,
Close
you got that picture.
Well, so I would say this, obviously you go every year. If you're an uninitiated and you were thinking about planning a Gen Con trip, how far out do you start planning? Do you start booking your tickets now? Because I see you can already register for next year.
Yeah. We usually get our badges January, February.
Okay.
And then like March-ish, like mid-March is when they open up the housing portal.
Got it.
For hotels. And then mid-May is when the event, you can actually start purchasing your event tickets.
Okay.
The event list will be out, a couple weeks before that. So you can really go in and just kind of check what I really want to do this. I really want to do that.
So the process starts about 6 months out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
That's fair.
And just, So the housing portal, it's a lottery by like they give you a time and when you can access it.
Gotcha.
The event list, though, is just everybody is clicking their mouse at noon.
It's like a Taylor Swift ticket off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
got it.
But like if anyone's never been, like I said, you got to be a part of the surge at least once, just to say you were part of it.
Right.
You gotta if you like escape rooms, this is the best place you're going to find escape rooms.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Because they designed the rooms with us in mind, us gamers.
Ah, nice.
So they're actually more challenging than what you could find. Like, I'm not saying they're like more.
So they're not dumbed down for the mundanes. Got it.
Yes. Yeah. So it's nice. And they're always guaranteed a full group.
Sure.
And then, you got to definitely, on Saturday night, you got to watch the destruction of Card Holla.
I was going to say Card Holla was going to be my next question. Excellent.
Yeah. Joe, I'll send you my video of what it like before destruction.
Oh, love to see it. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. I can throw it in the show notes with your permission.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So Joe, are you familiar with Card Holla?
No.
Okay. So Card Holla is they just have like right as you walk into the convention center from like the main entrance, they just have this area and they just have boxes upon boxes of just like lands, energies, whatever, like the cards that don't matter. And basically throughout the entire week, people are building card structures. And then on Saturday night, they will auction off the first throw. And basically, people just throw like balled up dollars and coins to knock it all down.
Oh, wow.
And all that money goes to the charity partner of Gen Con that year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then there's also the balloon art.
Right.
Yeah, this year it was the Apollo lander.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I have not seen pictures of that. Damn it.
I'll send you those pictures too. Yeah. And then on Sunday, they basically, that gets destroyed for charity too.
I love that interaction. Yeah.
Card Holla made, I heard around like $4,000 this year.
Nice.
And then the balloon was about $1,400.
Okay. Very cool.
So yeah, no, it's like those are just things that I would do. Like, if I were to do it again. Also, I would have a better plan of tackling the expo hall.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, we didn't have a plan going in the first year, so we just got super overwhelmed by everything. So we just kept going back. Like it was like we'll walk down an aisle, we're like, "Ooh, what's that?" Like the ADHD kid in the candy store.
Yeah,
there you go.
And then so we wouldn't actually get this. Like when we were in the car back home, we're just like, "Did we actually see anything?" So, but now we've developed our system of we just start at one of the aisles, usually one in like the 3,000 aisle, and then we just go up and down all the aisles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Knock it out.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I really
quick sweep and see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, James and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us your perspective on Gen Con. Before we move on to our other topics that we typically cover, do you want to promote what you're thinking about launching or that you're launching, or do you want to wait on that, or what's your thought?
I'll wait on that.
Okay, that's fair.
When I get a bit closer, then we'll talk.
We'd love to have you back and talk about the anatomy of how to put together those things together. So cool. Well, listen, we appreciate you coming on and sharing Gen Con.
Thanks so much for having me.
That was awesome.
James and I usually like to talk about what's on our table, and James, as usual, because he has had a little bit more time than I have lately, has got a lot more to talk about than I do. James, do you want to go first, or do you want me to do mine?
Sure. No, I can go through these pretty quick because I don't think any of these are unfamiliar to anyone. So, so over the past little bit, Sky was with us for a while, and so we got to play Flamecraft a couple of times. It's one of the things I've talked about is what?
I was just gonna say it won the Dice Tower Award at Gen Con.
Ah, there you go. It's a super giving game. It's like, oh, am I going to go here and I'm going to get all the stuff and I will do all the stuff. And you can put some nice little chains together, particularly with the can't remember which dragon it is that lets you swap it with something else and then fire off the new one. And if you've got like 2 or 3 of those,
the potion dragon.
Yeah, if you've got 2 or 3 of those and you're doing the enchantment, then you can just combo up all kinds of good stuff. So that was a lot of fun. I do
have something to add to that.
Okay, good.
One of the things that we did see there at Gen Con, they had like the production copy there. Yeah. There is a game coming out with the same artist.
Ooh.
It's not in the universe. It's not in the Flamecraft universe, but it is in the same artist. It's called Critter Kitchen.
Aww.
And basically, you are running a shop with critters.
That's
awesome.
Sandara Tang is the artist.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I just wanted to jump in and just kind of let y'all know that's coming down the pipeline.
That's super fun. I do love that there's a Sandara dragon in the Flamecraft game too. It's super fun. And then because we were just looking for something familiar and like sort of a throwback, we went and played Quacks at Quedlinburg's a couple of times. And then that's just such a fun push your luck. I think I came in dead last one game and ran away with it the second. So it's Quacks is just kind of it giveth and it taketh away. So that was super fun. Wingspan, we had the neighbors come over. This was the same neighbors who had us teach them Wingspan, right? Because they sat down and tried to play through the first, just the first round, and we're like, what is happening? So they brought it over. I taught them, and they were like, oh, yeah, this is so much better with the rules. So they came over again, and that was fun. And then we had friends coming here from Saudi Arabia. And their oldest son, Laith, is 13, and the dad and I sat down and played Ticket to Ride because they were looking for a game, that they could maybe pick up in Saudi or, something that would be good for the family. And I said, well, Ticket is pretty easy. Let's do this. So they had a good time with that.
Nice.
And then Emerson brought home Kennel Cough, from daycare. And so we've been sort of under the weather for a while, and we had a very nice game of Cascadia a couple of nights ago, just kind of like, starting to feel human again. and we tied. And I said, oh, no, there's probably a tiebreaker in here. And Laura was like, nope, let's just stay with I like the tie. So nice. We shared the win, shared the victory. Yeah.
Well, not a ton on my list. I think when we were last together, I gave you sort of a deep dive on Expeditions by Stonemaier Games. And I think that really opened the door because, as we talked about in our conversation with Jamie, the art of Scythe has always sort of been a barrier for us as a couple to really play it. And because I think, Dale's not into war games, and it kind of came across as a war game. And so after kind of softening up the earth with Expeditions and kind of getting her used to Olga, which is her character du jour, yes. We decided to roll into Scythe proper. And, it kind of it stayed on the table for a bit and got set up, and we kind of went through the mechanics of what needs to happen. And then when we finally got some games in, and I think it was just really nice to kind of get that behind us. We've played it a few times, and I've won twice and she won once. Nice. And the scores have been relatively balanced when we're together and waiting till that ending of the game. There's still a few things on the first couple of plays that we probably did wrong that we fixed in the last game. So I think we've played a pure version of it. There is a couple in the game store we're going to get together with soon and kind of go through it with somebody who's played it for a while and, maybe see how the combat element works because, we're not into playing games that you have to be mean to each other to win. And so we kind of avoided those sort of pitfalls.
And Scythe doesn't force you, as we were talking the other day, it doesn't force you to fight unless you're all scrambling for the factory there.
Well, and it was funny because there was a moment last night where I was in the factory and she came on over with Olga and a mech and a bunch of people tied to the mech. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bribe you to let me leave. I had the money. I didn't want to get, we're saving that mechanic. So I thought there were other ways to resolve that situation. And she had the factory at the end, and I still won. So, that's
it's funny. The first time I played Wingspan, and it was clearly from Stonemaier, obviously, and I was like, oh, this whole thing, you're done with one round and one cube. You're getting more powerful, but fewer actions each time. I thought, I I sense where this came from. And it's kind of fun to hear him talk about that too. Like, I kind of.
Well, it's interesting because, as we
play the game,
I think if you just put the lens on the Jamie designed games, I would probably say our favorite is Viticulture.
Okay.
Because it's one of those games that, there's a lot going on, but it's the way I think about it is Dale made a very interesting comment last night. She goes, "I'm just not a chess person." And I've said many times that that's why I always do better at Mariposas than her, because you're thinking a couple of moves ahead. And I think in Scythe, there is an aspect of thinking a couple of moves ahead. And although
I need to go here, to go there, to go there, to get this, recruit more, to build more, to move. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that's true in Viticulture, but I think she is for some reason more attuned to making her wines and making it work and getting to the finish line. She's always getting to the finish line before I do in Viticulture. And so it's that asymmetric play that you see in Viticulture, you see it in Scythe, it's in Expeditions, and it's obviously in Tapestry, and that's just Jamie's style.
Yes.
Frank West has got a style with his cats and his polyominoals. Every game he's got a polyomino somewhere in there,
Race to the Wrath is so good if you haven't played it yet.
Yeah, well, it's actually, I have it. It's in the Shelf of Shame. Shrink wrapped Shelf of Shame.
I have a couple of them, so I get it.
So so Ian, is there anything on your table that you didn't cover in the Gen Con? I don't mean to run over you there.
Yeah. No. No, it's, like the Queen by Midnight has really been the big thing. Let's see. I'm excited to get the new Spirit Island expansion onto the table.
Right.
I'm so excited about that, and that'll probably be happening next weekend.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to try to get something on the table tonight that's been shrink wrapped. So we're putting Scythe away for a while. Moving on to Kickstarter's Game Founds backed, intrigued by, or just darn it, I just picked the game up. I do have two that I have backed. I had to back DM Dave's Badge Quest RPG, the full boat. I wanted the minis and everything. I got the original piece as a patron of his. And I played it at the RPG day at the store where I had a nice audience, and it played really well. So he's doing a full-on campaign book and a bunch of tools and stuff to really make it a legit platform. And he's also, one of the stretch goals was a 5e version. And another stretch goal was, I'm going to say this wrong, a Morkba version. There's a different engine out there. I'll find it. I'll correct my bad pronunciation in the show notes. Or actually, you'll see it on the Kickstarter that I'm going to put the link into. There's another type of engine that's like a 5e, that's like a Pathfinder, that he's done some work with before, and so he's made that a part of it too. So he's aligning it to different platforms, which I'm curious. I'm curious to see as more and more content creators in the wake of the OGL create their content, if they won't just say, I can be compatible here, 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 and here. So if this is the mechanic you like, my game is still accessible to you. And I'll be surprised if we don't see more and more of that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
There is also the Orc now.
Right.
So at least, content creators can still use that. The Pathfinder and Starfinder open gaming license.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so I think just, more of that content out there and people being able to make it accessible to whatever their favorite style of play is, I think will be really cool. So I think this is a neat concept. So Badge Quest by DM Dave. And then I backed Bear Mountain Camping Adventure, A Race to the Top. That one looked very much like we talked earlier about how the art can really sell you onto something. So I fell victim. I mean, I thought that was a good idea. Then let's see. James, it looks like you have one you're intrigued by. You want to talk about that?
I have one that I'm intrigued by called Mistwind. And one, speaking of art, it is giant flying whales and other cetaceans. And so you're shipping things across the world of Mistwind. But it has a nice it's a worker placement kind of blind bid. So you've got 5 chips that you can put down, 1 of 5 on each round, right? Everybody puts down their little where they want to go. And then there are 4 sets around each sides of the board of 1 through 5 actions that you can take. So if everybody puts down the 5, then everybody's going to be doing the 5 action, but whoever goes first is going to get their pick of those 5 actions. So nobody's ever completely eliminated from choice. And so you're kind of also wanting to see, well, everybody else looks like they need to go to the 2 slot. So I'll play my 2, or I'll play my 1 since I need to, so I think there's some nice little sort of donkey space. I know what you know that I, kind of stuff. And then some nice little route building that reminds me more of like Third and Taxis. So point to point and less like Ticket to Ride. And then some pick up and deliver stuff with some very elaborate minis where you're picking up literal little wooden cubes that fit in the back of your little flying whale, and then goes across the board and then drops wherever it lands. So it's super cute that way. And the art just looks, I don't know. I feel like I want to hear whale songs in the background every time I look at it.
By the way, the words I couldn't say earlier was Morkborg is the format. So
even if you said it wrong, it still sounded like Morkborg. So,
yeah. Okay. So I was close.
It sounds like something a Swedish chef would cook up on the,
or somebody who watched Morgan Mindy and Star Trek in the 90s and 80s.
Yeah.
So the other one I have on my list it's coming soon. It hasn't been released yet. It's Harvest, a farming game, put out by 59 States, the people that bring us Parks, the board game. And obviously a big fan of Parks, have it and all of its expansions. Yeah. I'm kind of curious to see what this is going to look like. They're going straight to Kickstarter and you can be notified that when it goes live.
It has some pretty retro looking art on there too. That's kind of interesting. Yeah,
so I'll be kind of curious to see, if there's as a designer and a publisher, if they're a one hit wonder in terms of their concept, or if their other products have legs. Not that I'm really that judgmental about it. It's all one of those I know what I like, not what I'm supposed to like kind of moments. But I'll be just kind of curious to see. If they'll get the Stonemaier treatment from me with I don't care what it is, it's from Stonemaier, I'm buying it. The old shooting the nerd in a barrel here. So I did finally receive my innovative painting tools from Game Envy, Kit Pederetz's organization. He got back from GenCon and saw my impatience in the comments and mailed me my no, I'm kidding. He had over 4,000 orders to fill, and he had GenCon in the middle of that. And of course, they just had a baby. So, but I was able to use the cup yesterday. We were at the game store doing our every other week painting, and it was nice. Honestly, I got to tell you that scrubby, when I put my brush at the bottom of the cup and ran the brushes through it came out. I was able to quickly dry the brush, move on to another color, and it really sped up the process. So I didn't have to go mini, and come back and do it like an assembly line. I could spend time on one mini knowing that I could then move on to the next and not have to worry about how quickly I was going to have to refresh the brush, which was a nice thing to know. So I really appreciated that. And I was excited to get that. And then I got a nice note this week from the guys at Zoo Tycoon. Remember, James, we talked about that on the podcast. When I was back and forth as to whether or not I was going to back it. And then, of course, I did. I think I admitted, came clean.
Yes.
And not only does it look like it's going to be here soon, but it looks like it's going to be, I want to say, I'm going to go out on a limb. I want to say that this is going to be the very first Kickstarter that I ever backed that is going to arrive the month they said it is.
Ooh, okay.
I may have just jinxed it.
You absolutely did.
But allegedly the ship is in the United States, so I think I'm okay. It's just got to get unloaded. I don't know, but it's one of those things where I was just kind of surprised. But no, he was like, "Hey, please read this. Please read this." And I was like, "Oh, great. What's he going to tell us?" Because people on this podcast know my frustration, not with Indiegogo, but the people that made the stackable chess set that I still don't have.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And they finally reached out and asked everybody for just a little bit more money for shipping. And it was small, and it was small enough that I said, okay, I'm going to give them one shot. So I did it. I admitted I'm either a sucker or I'm going to get a chess set soon, or I'm calling a lawyer. I haven't decided which. Anyway,
Well, I hope you get the chess set, man.
I do too.
Yeah.
I figured it was worth the 10 extra bucks just to see. Okay. Anyway, I will say, moving off of Kickstarter, I did after Scythe, I have the components and the different pieces. I did find a really nice insert on Thingiverse by the Polymath that'll fit all of the expansions into the big box. I'll put a link to it's a free download. I'll put the link in the show notes below. My printer has been going nonstop for 8 days, and I'm almost there.
Okay. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, and I've followed suit with what you see there in the pictures. If the character's color is blue, it's a blue tray. I printed with blue PLA, red PLA, etc. And then just a mono color for all the pieces that are kind of universal. So nice. that was sort of part of the nuance of it. But I got to tell you this, for those of you who know, I'm relatively new to the 3D printing hobby. I've had products for about 6 months or so. I started out with the Anycubic Cobra Go. I sold it, got the Cobra Plus. I had some challenges with the Cobra Plus, the way the nozzle got stuck, and I fixed it, and I learned that, the 3D printing is not a plug-and-play hobby. There's going to be maintenance, there's tinkering to it, which is fine. I don't mind that, but I finally decided that I'm done with Anycubic. From a PLA perspective, I still have their resin product. I did sell my printer very candidly to somebody who picked it up, and I put a new nozzle on it. I checked it out. Everything's fine, and it's a tinkering kind of thing. And I moved over to the Elegoo, and I got the Elegoo Neptune 3 Max. This thing is massive. It's like 420 by 420 by 500. You can print a Mandalorian helmet on this and wear it right off the print.
Yeah.
It won't be shiny. You got to sand it and do all the paint stuff. I didn't get it because of the volume. I got it for the reputation and the fact that it's a direct drive PLA. And so far, I've had it now a week and a half, maybe, and I've got it dialed in, and it has just been a machine. It's just churning it out. Boom, boom, boom. So I've been really impressed.
Okay.
With that, more to come as I continue down the path, because when I started having trouble with the Anycubic, I was trying to print some things for expeditions that make it easier to run the game.
Right.
And it just was causing, and part of it is, for those of you who don't know, if you do not live in a very humid area, PLA, you must have a dehumidifier for your PLA, because the moisture gets in the plastic, and that's what causes the clogging of the nozzles and the challenge. And it also can make your PLA very brittle. So I actually went on Amazon, got a $30 dehumidifier for my PLA, and I've learned to dehumidify here in the middle of August, where we've had the hottest heat that I think we've had in a couple of years, to get the humidity out. Plus, I'm keeping this room that I'm in I've got a dehumidifier in this room, bringing it down. So those are some of the pitfalls of 3D printing that you really didn't want to know, but I promised to tell you anyway. Before we come to the end, I know I had one final thing. I know, James, you were going to talk a little bit about Essen. Do you want to save that for our next one?
Let's save that, because there's a whole lot. Let's save that. That sounds, put that on the shelf. We'll talk about it in 2 weeks or so.
That sounds great. And then just a funny thing, I was on the bike ride today. One of the podcasts I listen to is Grumpy Old Geeks, GOG.show, for those of you who are interested in hearing Jason DeFilippo and Brian Schulmeister talk about all the world of geekness from a technology perspective. And one of the things that they talked about was this video game called Stray Gods by Summerfall Studios, which is a RPG musical. It's a video game, and you play your character, but then to move the story forward, there is a song that must be broken out into to move the story forward.
I'm for it. I love musicals.
It was interesting because one of the gentlemen on the call, it was either Jason DeFilippo or Brian Schulmeister or Dave Bittner, who is also part of the Cyberwire and Hacking Humans, a well-known technology podcaster. He's also a well-known musical theater nerd, said that the Venn diagram between people who play RPGs and people who like musicals have finally come together. And that is why we have this. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting.
I always love the people who are like, I can't watch musicals because it makes no sense that people just randomly break into song. And my favorite response is, then you are not hanging around the right people.
That's fair.
That happens in my house.
There is a song from the Something Rotten show that's all about that.
There you go. See? Yeah.
100%.
First a meme, now a television. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank Ian Garner once again for taking the time to come on our show and talking about Gen Con. As always, you can follow us at layitonthetable.show, where you will find all of the favorite podcast platforms that you can find us on. And of course, head on over to Apple Podcasts and give us 5 stars or a review telling me all the things that I got wrong or all the areas that you disagreed with me on. That's perfectly fine. We are also at Lay It on the Table at Board Game Geek, where we also have a guild. You can find us over there. And then finally on the YouTube at Geek and Southern. All links to those in the show notes below. And as always, I am Joe Mahaffey. I am not bored. I am board gaming.
And I'm James Engelhardt, hoping that all your tiebreakers break your way.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back in a couple of weeks after Labor Day, and we hope to have another very special guest at that time. So we will talk to you then. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
1, 2, 3, 4.